Chinese emperors were widely known to have multiple wives in order to guarantee an heir and hundreds of other sexual partners. The saying goes that a real man has 3 wives and 4 concubines. In ancient China, every man from the emperor and his generals and ministers, right down to the ordinary people, wanted to be a real man. So to discover that an emperor who opted for monogamy existed in ancient China was kind of shocking. This guy really went against the grain in everything that he did in his professional and personal life. So, what influenced his way of life? How did his experiences shape his life? Did he learn from his dad? Why did he choose monogamy? Hongzi was a peace-loving emperor and was the 10th out of 17 emperor of the Ming dynasty, who reigned from 1487 to 1505. He and Emperor Fei of Western Wei are the only emperors in the entire Chinese history that have voluntarily and even deliberately opted for an exclusive relationship with his empress. Wow! And their cases are so extraordinary because in late imperial China, once a man had achieved some stature, he was expected to take a mistress, or more than one. According to Ming law, if a man reached the age of 40 without having a son, he could take a secondary wife, selected by his first wife. The only requirement is that he could support his women. Emperors, on the other hand, had access to upwards of 10,000 consorts. In terms of how many they actually had relations with, the average was around a few dozen, with 5 or 6 women in the emperor's favor at any given time. But not Hongzi. Hongzi, born Zhu Yu Cheng, had no children outside of his marriage to Empress Zheng, and according to conventional wisdom, had no extramarital relations either. It's known that Hongzi's monogamy was linked to the close relationship he had with his mother. But while the filial relationship was a factor, there was in fact far more to it than that. In a turbulent era, where political affairs were characterized by jealousy and power-mongering, the Ming dynasty was at times the ultimate soap opera. Ready? Hongzi was the eldest surviving son of Qinghua Emperor and Consort Ji. Consort Ji had a tough life. She was one of the Yao women captured during the suppression of an uprising in the southern Chinese province of Guangxi. Consort Ji was the abandoned Empress Wu from Yao, who was brought into the palace as one of Qinghua's emperor's many consorts. So Hongzi was raised in secret by his mother and received the best Confucian education offered at that time with the protection of various eunuchs who swore to secrecy of his existence, as well as Qinghua's empress, Empress Wang, who all managed to keep him safe for 5 years. Why the secrecy? Because Qinghua's emperor's favorite concubine, Consort Wan, was obsessed with power and fueled with jealousy. Consort Wan wanted a child of her own and ordered any rival pregnancies to be forcibly aborted and murdered as many of the emperor's babies as she could find, often killing their mothers as well. As a result, the emperor, thanks to Lady Wan, was still childless at that point and was disappointed about that. But why didn't Cheng Huan punish Consort Wan for killing his offspring? Because Cheng Huan was a real Ming dynasty's Hugh Hefner. He pored through sex manuals and was obsessed with pornography, cavorted with Taoist magicians, and was led astray by money-grubbing pals. So expecting him to keep track of his own children was an unrealistic expectation. But there was one baby that both he and Lady Wan missed, and that was Hongzi. Imagine his great relief when one of his court eunuchs informed him that he did indeed have a son. Once Cheng Huang named Hongzi his heir, even his vicious Lady Wan couldn't get away with his murder. Nonetheless, she managed to kill Hongzi's mother as a consolation prize. So as Hongzi was growing up, his experience of polygamy was that it was murderous, incredibly dangerous for everyone involved. He wanted his babies to live and his wife to live, and he didn't want to be worrying about whether they are going to kill each other or not. So he figured, let's just stick to one woman. So when Hongzi took the throne, he was eager to promote Confucian values, which includes fidelity. His reign as emperor of China is called the Hongzi Restoration. His heir name, 孔子, means great governance. For more historical topics to impress people you barely know, please like, subscribe, and share.